Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalaka Chakshurmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurur Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagachatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु तेन बंधु जगतपते कुपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुत देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्री वसादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. So today uh, I will answer inquiries submitted by you all from Canto 1, Chapter 10. Uh, Even after today, we will have some inquiries left over from the previous class. We'll soon get caught up. Did any one of you try Sumnima's app?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes, I tried. Beautifully designed and it's very helpful.
Okay, very good. Rest of you?
I tried as well, Prabhuji. It was very user friendly. Very
Okay, very
nice
good.
attempt.
Yeah, very good. Rest of you?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I was not in the last class, so I did not get the link. Can I get it again, Prabhuji?
Okay, we'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
So rest of you in La La Land.
Prabhuji, please send it in the group. I think I forgot.
Okay, I will send in the WhatsApp group again, so everybody has it. So it's an opportunity to occupy yourself in Krishna consciousness. Sumnima has done a very good job with that app, with questions, and just keeps you occupied. And right now there are few chapters, and other chapters will get populated as we progress in our various chapters. So use your time in Krishna consciousness as much as is possible. Like, why do you have to go to YouTube and other social media? Follow Krishna consciousness activities. And some of you should also revisit on the approach that we have chosen. That the new approach where you are listening to class recording of the previous batch. So it's only one or two of your devotees who are not completing the spiritual endeavor, meaning you may not be listening to the previous class recordings. So revisit for yourself. I cannot hold your hand anymore. We clearly agreed. Well, I showed, I'm not sure I agreed upon from your side. I showed a process that you all should follow. And if you have challenges to follow the process, well, get a buddy and set a routine. There are already offline discussion groups where devotees are discussing offline. So take advantage. Otherwise, material world is a very sticky place, like the road asphalt salt. It's just very material world is a whirlpool and a very sticky place. So judge for yourself what you are doing and not doing, and fine tune. So we also heard from Chaitanya Chandas that I have to fine tune. Otherwise, the airplane will land in Calcutta. Instead of landing in Calcutta, will land in Delhi or in no man's land. All right, I will bring up inquiries on screen and we'll discuss as we progress. Question number 1. What is meant by enlightenment? So if we walk through a dark room without lights, we do not know whether there are stairs ahead and we may fall down. With lights turned on, we can see and walk properly and avoid danger. Similarly, when senses are illuminated with scriptural knowledge, we can use the senses in a way that is not dangerous, meaning that is not entangling. So enlightenment means illumination attained through scriptural knowledge. Of course, enlightenment also means purification. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question number 2. I do offer bhoga to picture of Gopinath. Am I supposed to offer to all of them or only to Shri Shri Radhakrishna? I mean, one bhoga, but offering to all at once. And I feel I am doing a lot of offenses while offering, such as not following proper cooking consciousness. And I just offer without any love and devotion. Does God accept? And how can I improve myself in this? Very good practical inquiry. So at the start, you can consider to offer bhoga on one plate, one together to all on the altar. Although there is nothing wrong with offering to every single picture frame that you have on the altar. But be practical. You can start small, right? Krishna consciousness should not overwhelm you. So start small and then you keep growing. And at the start, we are bound to do mistakes. Therefore, we offer bhoga to a picture of Gopinath instead of the Archa Vigraha form. The standards of service are very high and stringent for serving the Archa Vigraha deity form of Gopinath. Next level down in terms of standards is the picture form. And further level down, the most lenient is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So yeah, if you choose to put the Hare Krishna Mahamantra at your altar and just offer your bhoga, offering your worship to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that's the easiest. But picture is also okay. So it is good to be conscious that you need to improve. So just keep improving every day. Now, this is a lifelong process. Up to the last moment, you will continue to improve. Krishna consciousness, there's no such thing that I have attained 100% perfection. You will just keep improving. So this way, if you keep improving every day, by the time you get initiated, your mistakes will reduce. I say mistakes will reduce. I did not say mistakes will be completely eliminated. So even after initiation, we are bound to make mistakes. So at the Toronto temple, at the backside of the altar, where pujaris prepare for services, There are mantras for forgiveness posted on the fridge for pujaris to chant every day after every service. So we do not have qualification to serve Gopinath. Therefore, when we offer everything uh, to spiritual master and we ask spiritual master to offer to Gopinath, because spiritual master is qualified to offer to Gopinath. So if you recall, those of you who have seen the Bhoga offering demonstration from my home temple, I am saying to all of you that while you are offering, while you are chanting the prayers, look at Srila Prabhupada. And at that time I was not initiated, therefore I was offering to Srila Prabhupada. So you offer to Srila Prabhupada, or if you have a living spiritual master, then offer to living spiritual master, because we are not qualified. We are bound to make mistakes. So spiritual master is qualified to offer to Gopinath. And it is spiritual master's mercy to engage the disciple this way in serving Gopinath. Does that answer the inquiry? Shivji?
Prabhuji, I just wanted to ask, like, if we are starting, like, I'm a neophyte, how should we start? Like, should we start by just giving one meal a day, or should we start with just fruits? And also for the consumption, like, should we directly start only consuming prasadam, or should we like do like one thing at a time and then eventually do two times a day?
Yeah, so you should get the Bhoga offering demonstration that I have done from my home temple, and the whole process is described. So yes, you start small, can just start offering one time in the day. You start with offering milk, fruit, and water, and have a separate plate for Gopinath. And when the offering is finished, it becomes prasadam. Then you transfer everything onto your plate. Wash Gopinath plates first. Then you can honor prasadam. So the service is finished only after you have washed Gopinath plates. You should not honor prasadam until you have washed Gopinath plates. And to honor prasadam, you should chant the Mahaprasadi prayer. So all that process is described in the Bhoga offering demonstration, as well as there is one document. So Shivanshi, you can kind of send a message offline to me and you can get those, send your email to me and I will send you all that and you can just follow. It's detailed discussion. So some of you have already seen this Bhoga offering demonstration. You want to help Shivanshi? Does that answer everything that Shivanshi asked, the Bhoga offering demonstration?
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay.
Rest of you
Thank
have seen the Bhoga offering demonstration. Does that already answer all Shivanshi was asking?
Yes, Prabhuji, it does.
All right, thank you. Question number 3. It is mentioned that Lord only appears in Hastinapur, Dwarka, Vrindavan. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in Navdeep from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.10.27. So these places are perpetually sanctified because whenever the Lord descends to earth, he displays his transcendental activities, particularly in these 3 places. So question is how to understand that Lord only appears in these 3 places when Lord has also appeared in Navdeep. So we'll soon read this verse 1.10.27. If you read 1.10.27, it says, whenever the Lord descends to earth, he displays his transcendental activities, particularly at Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwarka. So the purport does not say that the Lord appears only in these places. Rather, what it says is that the Lord performs his pastimes at these places. So we have also discussed in Nectar of Instruction that these places of Vrindavan, Mathura and Dwarka are higher than Vaikuntha Loka because the Lord performed his pastimes at these places. So I will bring up 1.10.27 and on the screen, and we will read purport paragraph number 1. Denisha, you want to read 1.10.27 paragraph number 1 purport from the screen?
The heavenly planets are inhabited by demigods like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, and Vayu, and the pious souls reach there after performance of many virtuous acts on Earth. Modern scientists agree that the timing arrangement in higher planetary systems is different from that of the Earth. Thus, it is understood from revealed scriptures that the duration of life there is 10,000 years by our calculation. The six months on Earth is equal to 1 day on the heavenly planets. Facilities of enjoyment are also similarly enhanced, and the beauty of inhabitants is legendary. Common men on the earth are very much fond of reaching the heavenly planets because they have heard that the comforts of life are far greater than they are on Earth. They are now trying to reach the moon by spacecraft. Considering all this, the heavenly planets are more celebrated than the Earth, but the celebrity of Earth has defeated that of the heavenly planets because of Dwaraka, where Lord Sri Krishna reigned as king. Three places, namely Vrindavana, Mathura, and Dwaraka, are more important than the famous planets within the universe. These places are perpetually sanctified because whenever the Lord descends to earth, he displays his transcendental activities, particularly in these three places. They are perpetually the holy land of the Lord, and the inhabitants still take advantage of the holy places, even though the Lord is now out of their sight. The Lord is the soul of all living beings, and he desires always to have all of the living beings in their Swarupa, in their constitutional position, to participate in transcendental life in his association. His attractive features and sweet smiles go deep into the heart of everyone, and once it is so done, the living being is admitted to the kingdom of God, from which no one returns. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita.
Right, so what does the purport say? That whenever the Lord descends to earth, he displays his transcendental pastimes, particularly at Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka. So the verse and the purport does not say that the Lord descends only at these places. He's performing the pastimes at these places. Does that answer the inquiry? All right. Question number 4 from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.10.36. Our prayers and rituals are to be directed towards Krishna. Then whom is Krishna performing these evening rites towards? Very good. So in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.10.36 purport, we'll soon read, says that Lord is performing these activities to show as an example so that common people like me can follow. Similarly, in Canto 10, should be the Rukmani chapters, the Lord gets up early for morning meditation. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that Lord is teaching that you may have a soft bed, a beautiful wife, still one should get up early for meditation, exactly how Lord is showing. And Srila Prabhupada goes on to write that Krishna is himself Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has nothing to meditate upon beyond himself. So Krishna is just trying to show as an example. Similarly, in Canto 4, the Prithu Maharaj chapters, Prithu Maharaj is also an incarnation of the Lord. And Prithu Maharaj is also acting like ordinary human just to teach to rest of the world. So we will read 1:10:36, paragraph number 1, where Srila Prabhupada is saying that Lord is teaching. That's the purpose of the Lord. So let's read paragraph number 1. Padma Kumar, paragraph number 1, translation 1:10:36.
It is said here that the Lord observed the religious principles regularly while he was on the journey. There are certain philosophical speculation that even the Lord is under the obligation of the furtive action, but actually this is not the case. He doesn't depend on the action of any good or bad work. Since the Lord is absolute, everything done by him is good for everyone. But when he descends to the earth, he acts for the protection of the devotees and for the annihilation of the impious non-devotees. Although he has no obligatory duty, still he does everything so that others may follow. That is the way of actual teaching. One must act properly himself and teach the same to others. Otherwise, no one will accept one's blind teaching. He is himself the awarder of fruitful results. He is self-sufficient, and yet he acts according to the rulings of the revealed scripture in order to teach us the process. If he does not do so, the common man may go wrong. But in the advanced stage, when one can understand the transcendental nature of the Lord, one does not try to imitate him. This is not possible.
Right, so Prabhupada says, Lord has no obligation. He is still acting to teach to others so that others can follow. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Question number 5. It was discussed in class that we should be detached and at the same time be affectionate towards our family members and should correct them if they go in a wrong way. But what if they are not in a position to understand due to influence of Maya, even after trying repeatedly? Should we develop tolerance in this case and just pray about this to Krishna? And if we pray to Krishna regarding this, will it become material? So you are correct that yes, we should have affection towards our family members, and if they are going on a wrong track, then we should correct. So you're at this point that what if they are not changing even after you're trying repeatedly? Should you give up? Well, then your affection is gone, right? If you have affection, you will continue to rectify your family member again and again and again and again and again. So give prasadam to your family members. Then little by little, the change will become visible. Without prasadam, it's very difficult. Prabhupada has explained in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, verse 13 and 14 purport that without prasadam, the finer tissues of the brain are not purified and therefore they cannot understand spirituality or even the good manners. So give them prasadam. Simultaneously pray to Krishna that somehow the family members become Krishna conscious. Now, such praying so that the soul comes closer to Krishna, this is not a material desire because you are desiring the soul to come to closer to Krishna. So it's a spiritual desire. So pray to Krishna. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. It was not my question, but it helped a lot.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Next question. Could we remember Krishna in our happiest times and still exchange rasa? Can we remember Krishna without any calamities and still go back to Goloka Vrindavan? And a second part of the question is, how do we know if one is a true devotee of Krishna? What are the qualities and how do we identify them? So happiness separate from Krishna does not exist in the material world. Bhagavad Gita 8.5 says, Smaran muktva kalevaram. Antakale chamam eva smaran muktva kalevaram. That you have to remember Krishna. So calamities or happiness is not the criteria to go back to Goloka Vrindavan. Rather, remembering Krishna in all circumstances is the criteria to attain Krishna. Now, the second part of the question about pure devotees, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse number 13 and 14, are the direct answer of who is a pure devotee and how do you know who is a pure devotee. 9.13 describes the internal characteristics of a pure devotee, that they are constantly remembering Krishna. And 9.14 describes the external characteristics of a devotee, that with the internal characteristics of 9.13, the pure devotee is constantly engaged in serving and glorifying Krishna. So let's read Bhagavad Gita 9.13 and 14 translations to understand the nature of pure devotee. Kunal, 9.13, 14 translation. You have it on the screen. Parth Prabhu, 13, 14 translation from the screen.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, chapter 9, text 13. O son of Pitha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Text 14. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, going down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Hare Krishna.
Does that answer the inquiry or both inquiries?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question 7. People or devotees who are born in Vrindavan and Mathura and Dwarka in this age of Kali Yuga, even though they may not be on the path of Krishna consciousness, are they liberated or are they born in these places due to their past good karma? So anyone born in these holy places is either that they are already pure devotees and they are sent here to teach to rest of the world how to serve Krishna. So discussion on this point is in Nectar of Devotion chapter 15 and 16, that Raganuga devotee is trying to follow a Ragatmika devotee. So Ragatmika devotee is a pure devotee who generally be in these holy dhams. Can be other places also. Or the other option is that someone has little bit of past karma left over. Hence, they are born in these holy places to exhaust their leftover karma, such as those who are born as monkeys in Vrindavan. Therefore, when you go visit Vrindavan, do not disrespect even the monkeys in Vrindavan. Understand that they are very much on the edge of fully purifying themselves. It was just that little bit of karma was left over. So they are just exhausting. So we do have Ritu, who is from Vrindavan. I don't know if she'll be able to share something. But yes, the monkeys in Vrindavan are very famous. I don't know, Ritu, does that allow you? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, monkeys are very dangerous in Vrindavan, and it's not possible to avoid monkeys
Yeah.
while going for the darshan.
Yeah, so carry some fruit or generally banana or something. Give it to monkeys. So they are also elevated souls. Just little bit is left over. Does that help with the inquiry?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yeah.
Actually, I visited Vrindavan. The monkeys are really very, I will say, very to be avoided very cautiously, because I have some knowledge. Somehow my wife's spectacles were taken away suddenly.
Yeah.
After giving something, it is being returned.
Right.
Another thing is that my queries is that in Vrindavan, so many peoples, they are engaged in different way of life. Some are acting in local rickshaw pullers, others in vendoring. Some tea stalls are there. So how can I characterize those persons? They are not engaged in Krishna consciousness, but they are engaged in other way of life. So
Very good. Very good inquiry. So we have discussed this in Nectar of Instruction, that Nectar of Instruction says that these holy places, Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka, are higher than Vaikuntha. But when I go to Vrindavan, I see garbage everywhere. I see commercialization everywhere. I don't see spiritual world. So how do I understand? And all those devotees who travel to these holy dhams, I give them little guidance from scriptures, which Vidura has taught us as an example. Others also, Vidura is also one example. So I tell them that you don't go out in Vrindavan by yourself, travel with a devotee. The difference is that right now I have material consciousness, therefore I only see material things, and the spirituality is hidden from me. But when you go to Vrindavan with the spiritual consciousness, and you are also together with devotees in Vrindavan, then the spiritual world within Vrindavan gets revealed. So Bhat Prabhu is absolutely correct that some people are there just for their commercialization. They are not devotees, they are not pure devotees, they are not elevated souls. They are just taking advantage of that place for whatever their business is. So Path Prabhu, even when you went, I gave you instructions that while you are in the airplane or train or whichever mode of travel, do japa, read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and our purpose of going to Vrindavan is not sightseeing. Our purpose of going to Vrindavan is to associate with pure devotees, to hear Krishna Katha, that how they are so fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So though they are Ragatmika devotees. So in continuation of the previous discussion from the previous question, Ragatmika means pure devotees. They are Ragatmika devotees. They are here to teach us how to serve Krishna 24 hours, how to be absorbed in Krishna 24 hours, so that you can go back home, back to Godhead, and serve Krishna nicely and properly the way a pure devotees are serving. So those Ragatmika devotees, pure devotees, are here to teach to rest of the world. Path Prabhu, rest of you?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Very important point, Path Prabhu. So any one of you at some point decides to travel to Holy Dham, have an offline discussion with me. I briefly describe, so I will give you a little guidance. So you have to make your travel as bhakti yoga by continuously being occupied in Krishna's service. So for those of you who are in batch 6 and 7, so recently Shruti was traveling to India, and now airplanes have Wi-Fi. So she's sitting in airplane and she was attending our classes. That's perfect use of the technological advancement. Rather than, if you see rest of everybody, they are watching television and wasting their time and getting entangled. Right? So we have to make our travel as bhakti yoga. So that's what Shruti did. She was sitting in the airplane, using the airplane Wi-Fi to attend our classes, and her travel became bhakti yoga. So all of you, whenever you have to travel, some of you have already traveled and you have connected with me, and I provided similar guidance from the scriptures. Rest of you, whenever you have to travel, get those guidance from me and follow. Does that help? Everybody can please try to do that. Question number 8. The need to take shelter from a pure devotee or a spiritual master is different for everyone. Please, can you describe what exactly is the turning point for a devotee when they realize that shelter is required or is necessary? So the turning point for shelter will generally be different for each devotee. Some ways are that you get purified enough and understand from scriptures that we need to surrender, or you get mercy of pure devotee and or Krishna reveals from within. So it's not a black and white answer that I can give you because it will vary for each one of you. You still need to discuss this offline. All of you can have a discussion with me offline. So some of you, I did connect offline together with devotees whom I thought they are ready for initiation, and I gave you all little guidance. So if any one of you still wants to have a discussion with me offline, you are welcome to set up a time to discuss. Does that help? Question number 9. from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.10.16. So we'll spend a lot of time on this question. It appears to me that the Parda system is being supported here, which is difficult to reconcile with. There are parts of Bhagavatam that refers to certain concepts which I struggle to feel comfortable with, like the practice of sati for a widow, or that a woman's duty is to support the husband's spiritual journey. As a civilization, there has been societal reforms about some of these concepts. How then to understand these scriptural references in correct light? How to use Shastra and Jnana Chakshu to move over the material concepts that perhaps is covering me and preventing me in having the right realization? All of you would realize that how important this inquiry is. Although one devotee has asked, but I'm pretty sure many of you may have similar inquiries. So we'll spend a lot of time on this inquiry. So the sati system is not legal right now by law. Therefore, you cannot and you should not follow the sati process. Now, why previously sati system was followed is that a wife is a chaste wife and completely focused on serving the devotee husband. And the separation from the husband is unbearable as compared to entering the funeral pyre. So you have to understand from that point that separation is so difficult for a chaste wife as compared to the entering live in a funeral pyre. Of course, sati, I clearly say, sati system is not legal. You cannot and you should not follow. I'm just trying to explain the historical point. Now, this other point about reforms in current civilization, these reforms in the society, they are not directed by pure devotees and not directed by scriptures. Therefore, you will notice that when a government changes, the first thing the new government does is to reverse the policies of the previous government. So we read in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 that when Yudhishthir became king, he had no ideology of his own. He simply followed the infallible laws of Krishna. Laws of Krishna are infallible because they satisfy all living entities equally. Therefore, even animals were treated as equal citizens. Well, right now, in this so-called advanced or modern civilization, animals are not treated as citizens. Therefore, there are slaughterhouses. Well, how would you call this civilization as modern? Meaning they are not following the scriptures. So these societal reforms are so-called reforms. They are designed by persons who are themselves subject to defects. You will soon hear and discuss in Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam describes that people in Kali Yuga will elect Shudras as leaders. Therefore, there are disturbances in the material world. So, scriptures has designed the Varnashram system for time-wise progression on the path of spirituality and has also provided duties of devotee husband and duties of a chaste wife. The duties of a chaste wife is to serve the devotee husband so that both spouses can attain the spiritual world. One example of duties of a chaste wife is of Devahuti in Canto 3. We'll soon read these verses. That Devahuti simply served the devotee husband, and Devahuti achieved the same result as the husband achieved, even though it was just the husband doing the spiritual endeavor. Devotee was only serving the husband so that the husband can focus on spiritual duties. Now, this modern civilization, let me bring up on screen Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.11, obviously is a key memorization verse, very important verse. Srila Prabhupada calls modern civilization as misguided civilization. So let me bring up on screen, and Kunal Prabhu can read if the audio is fixed now. So I will recite. It's a very beautiful verse to recite also. 1.5.11 is also a key memorization verse. You all can also memorize if you have not already memorized. 1.5.11 Tadvag visargo janata agaha viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abadvati api namani anantasya yasya ankitani yat shravanti gayanti grahanti sadhava. Kunal Prabhu, are you able to read the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji. So, on the other hand, the literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a different creation full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Hare Krishna.
Right, so Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita Bhagavatam will bring about a revolution in the impious lives of world's misdirected civilization. Right, so what we are calling as modern civilization, it actually is misdirected civilization, because the civilization is not directed by devotees, is not directed by Krishna or even Krishna's instructions. The material world and the legislations that are being passed in the various departments, what good is that legislation? They are being prepared and passed by Shudras, who themselves are subject to 4 defects, who don't study scriptures, who don't follow scriptures. What good is that legislation? And therefore, as soon as the next government will come, they will change the legislation of the previous government. I will pause here. We still will read the Devahuti chapter verses. I will pause here for questions, comments, realization, starting with Kunal.
So, Prabhuji, my question is on the taking shelter one, which was like the previous question. So many times what happens is many devotees want to take shelter of, say, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. And then there is a big waiting list for Maharaj, like maybe 7 years, 10 years. Then devotees say that, okay, maybe Giriraj Swami Maharaj is giving initiation. I can go and take initiation from His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj. So is that like acceptable, or like we need to, like, what is the, like, is it acceptable according to you? I don't know. I've never.
So this is incorrect approach, right? You cannot change your spiritual master just based on the circumstances that you described. Like, spiritual master and the disciple is a connection which is based on connection of heart, and it's based on the same nature. Now, the devotees who change their spiritual master just because there is waiting time from His Holiness Radhanath Swami have a misunderstanding, or actually no understanding, that as soon as the disciple takes shelter of a spiritual master, not initiation, shelter, the mercy from spiritual master starts flowing from the day you take shelter. Initiation, yes, it's a milestone, but it's the shelter that is the starting point, and the mercy starts flowing. And simply by taking shelter, you are already on the path of spirituality, connected in parampara. And I'll tell you, I'll repeat my own example, that from the day I took shelter of my spiritual master, His Grace Vaishnav Das Adhikari, just shelter, my senses started to be in control. Why? Because the mercy started flowing. Yeah, I got initiated like a year later, but that was just a milestone. Yes, you have to get initiated, nothing. But the connection starts from the taking shelter. So the devotees who could not wait, they have a misunderstanding as to what the spiritual master is. The spiritual master connection is that you simply serve the spiritual master, and spiritual master will initiate you at the right time. So this waiting is not the criteria to change your spiritual master. Well, of course, in this case, it could also be that for this devotee, His Holiness Radhanath Swami was not the right fit of the spiritual master, and therefore they went and took another spiritual master. So it's okay to take another spiritual master as long as you have the right reason. But this waiting is not the right reason. Kunal?
Yes, Prabhuji. So just another question. So what is the difference between initiation and taking shelter? I thought both are same.
So taking shelter is that, okay, you have told to your spiritual master that I am surrendering to you, and through you to Krishna. So the day you take shelter is the day you surrender to the spiritual master. Initiation is an milestone to officially connect you to the parampara, although the connection already started from the day you take shelter. Kunal?
Yeah, Prabhuji. Okay, I never kind of thought about that. I thought once you take shelter, that means you would take initiation from the same spiritual master. Okay, thank you. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
I mean, generally yes. But until you get initiated, it's possible to change the spiritual master, although you should not. You should take your time to judge who's the right spiritual master, and then take shelter from that spiritual master. But it's still allowed to change the spiritual master for the right reasons. The example that you gave for waiting, the devotee could not wait, that's not the right reason. If the spiritual master nature is different, that I understand. Kunal, everybody on the same page?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
So I will pause here for this question number 9. I describe brief points, and I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations. Parth Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I have a small question regarding that Kunal Prabhu's queries. So, if someone takes shelter of a spiritual master, then he is supposed to initiate from the same spiritual master also. Number one.
Let me
Number two.
answer number 1. So you can take a shelter from a spiritual master, and it is allowed to change the spiritual master before initiation if you realize that the spiritual master with whom you have taken shelter is not the right fit. And therefore, I said, and I will repeat, that don't just rush into taking shelter. First, understand, get guidance from a spiritual mentor, get guidance from devotees, listen to spiritual masters' classes, and judge whether the spiritual master is the right fit. Although it is allowed to change your spiritual master, but I am saying do not go on that route to change the spiritual master. Worst case scenario, yes, you can change. There's no stopping. But do your homework before taking shelter. So a couple of devotees from this batch already messaged me. So I already connected with few devotees across all batches. I told them, you are ready for initiation. Move on the line of getting a bona fide spiritual master. Take his disciple course. So a couple of devotees said, yes, I am ready. I want to connect to spiritual master. And I said, don't rush. Right? There's no need to rush. Take your time, week, 2 week, 3 week time. Because I don't want the devotee to later on go and change the spiritual master saying, yeah, this is not the right spiritual master for me. So it's allowed to change, but follow this process of taking time to know the spiritual master, that it's the right fit for you, and then take shelter. And I'll give you an example for this to understand that my spiritual master's main service is book distribution, preaching and book distribution. So if your nature is also preaching and book distribution, you would take shelter from, say, my spiritual master or somebody who has the same nature, because the spiritual master is going to give you services based on what his prime nature is. So if your nature and spiritual master nature is matching, then the services will also match. Now, another example is His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami. His prime nature is Gopinath worship, temple worship. Yes, of course, he also does book distribution. He also does preaching, but that preaching, book distribution is secondary compared to temple worship. So if my nature is book distribution and preaching, and if I take shelter from, say, a spiritual master like His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami, he's going to give me service associated with Gopinath worship, and I will have a challenge because that's not my nature. Therefore, I mentioned to all devotees, and I'm repeating that, take time to judge that is the nature of my spiritual master matching with my nature. And you can judge this nature by listening to spiritual master's recording, by doing services with the disciple of that spiritual master, and you will judge that you will find comfort in a particular set of devotees who are generally disciples of a particular spiritual master. So many devotees from here, Toronto, they do services with all of us because they all have similar nature. And they feel comfortable. Many of them have said, I feel comfortable doing services when we all are there, versus when I go for services when others are there, I don't like it. So this is one of a clue that you find comfort doing services with particular set of devotees, means your nature and these set of devotees who are initiated will have the same nature, meaning their nature will be similar to their spiritual master nature. So that becomes a clue for you to judge whether this particular spiritual master is a right fit for me. Path Prabhu, everybody, does that answer your first part of the first question?
Yes, Prabhuji, I have also got the answer of our second queries, that is, I have liberty to change the spiritual master and take initiation of under another spiritual master And primarily, I will be guided by a spiritual mentor.
Correct.
That's
Yeah. So you are
that's the
correct.
good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you are correct. That spiritual mentor will guide you. One of the prime guidance of a spiritual master is to help you choose. Sorry, spiritual mentor. One of the prime um, service of a spiritual mentor is to help you choose the spiritual master. Of course, other things to make you steady that are also there. Yes, you can change, but don't go that route. Is my request to all of you. So, Path Prabhu, if you are interested in getting initiated, have an offline discussion with me. I did not select you when I had the discussion with other devotees for initiation, because I only know you so much. So you are welcome to have an offline discussion with me about initiation, or anybody else who already hasn't had the discussion about initiation with me.
All right, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
All right, so going back to question number 9. Everybody on the same page? Any questions, comments, realizations before we read the Devahuti chapters, verses from Devahuti chapters? Shivanshi?
Prabhuji, I would just like to add, like you mentioned for the previous to previous point, like if you want to like convert somebody into Krishna consciousness, then Prashadam is the best way because otherwise. So I would just like to add something. So I was speaking with my mother and she said like her phone got like stolen in ISKCON, India. And then when she was speaking with somebody at the temple, they said like that was just a phone. What if some gold were, matlab, what if some gold had got stolen? So I was like, okay, whoever she spoke to, I don't know why they didn't show like empathy. Like you mentioned those examples, right? I tried pacifying her, but I do not know. Like it has got worse. Um, I'm still I can say like I'm trying to still preach. I'm not forcing, but I don't know who she spoke with. Like her experience was not good, and
Yeah, so
she's like,
you are correct that we have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita, we have discussed in chapter 6, when Arjuna asks inquiry that this Ashtanga Yoga seems impractical. So in when Krishna starts responding from 6.40 onwards, so we have discussed this, that what is Krishna teaching. So we have to study Bhagavad Gita in a way to understand not just what the words are saying, but the how also, meaning the subtle points also. That how is Arjuna inquiring in a humble way, and how is Krishna responding in a compassionate manner. So when Arjuna asked this question, before giving the philosophical response to Arjuna's inquiry, first Krishna gives a compassionate response. So this is the learning for us also, that how is Krishna responding, that first give comfort to a devotee, that if something is stolen, don't say, oh, it's okay, oh, something bad could have happened. I mean, don't go that route. You have to be compassionate. So Shivanshi is correct that yes, we first have to show compassion, then talk philosophy. So what the devotee said is not incorrect, but start with compassion. For the person is already in some anxiety that the phone is stolen. Don't run a truckload of philosophy at that point. First show compassion. Shivanshi.
yes, Prabhuji, I just told her like Krishna has taken something worse could have happened, and whatever happens, happens for good reason, but
So your
it is
point is
difficult
correct.
to.
No, your point is correct. but you don't have to say that at that point in time to the person who has already some anxiety. You can say it later. At that point in time, you cannot run a truckload of philosophy.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's difficult, but yeah, I've tried to pacify, but it's a long process. But
Yeah, you are correct. It's a long process. So immediately don't run a truckload of philosophy. Immediately you need to pacify, you need to help. Your response should be, oh, so and so happened. How can I help you? Or my dharma is, how can I help you? If the phone is lost and the devotee needs to call somebody, say, can I give you my phone that you can call somebody? Do you need to call somebody to take you, or are somebody looking for you? Do you want to connect with somebody? I mean, give comfort first. Philosophy, your points are correct. Talk later, not right now.
okay, but thank you so much, Prabhuji. And another question, Prabhuji, is just last question. Um, like you say, like we should not be attached to somebody who has already gone from the material world. And but we should show compassion. But Prabhuji, I just want to say, like, uh, even after 2 3 years, Prabhuji, it is still difficult to cover the loss. Even though they have gone from the material world, you still get some visions. So what to do, Prabhuji? um,
So understand that you have to purify yourself. Right? The reason for not coming out of bodily attachment is because you are at bodily attachment level. So you have to understand from scriptures. And I'm not saying that this will change overnight, and it will vary for devotee to devotee. Some will change in couple months time, some may take a year. So it will vary. So you don't have to artificially push yourself saying I'm not this body. You don't have to say to somebody this artificially, oh, why are you crying? No, you are not this body. Just get up and get back on track. No, it doesn't work that way. So understand and work on purification for yourself to come out of bodily concept of life. Then this attachment to somebody who has left the body more than a year ago, that attachment will also not be as severe. I'm not saying it will go away 100%. It won't be as severe in terms of troubling you. Shreyanshi, does that help you?
yes, Prabhuji, but how to cover the loss, Prabhuji? Like,
So we have to understand the theory, the philosophy that we are not this body. Everything in the material world is temporary, right? So it is our misunderstanding that we think everything is permanent here. So we
should we
heard,
replace, Prabhuji? I'm really sorry to cut you off, sir. Should we replace and I mean, I'm not saying replace. Should we find somebody else, Prabhuji?
so it's not a black and white answer that I can give you, right? So if somebody is young and say the spouse has left the body, well, would probably make sense. But again, it's not a black and white answer. And say if there is a young child and the one of the spouse has left the body, well, the other spouse will need help if the immediate family members are not there for help, or even if the immediate family members are there, well, the parents will also have an age limit. So you have to judge according to the circumstances, not a black and white answer that I can give you. Shivji?
Okay, Prabhuji. It's just that, like how Krishna provides family members, uh, like even though we come alone, we go alone, but we do need some relations to survive. So that is what
So
I'm
you are
thinking.
correct. This
Hmm.
come alone and go alone is
Hmm.
coming up very, very soon in 1.15.50. Yes, you are absolutely correct that we come alone and we go alone. The family members that we have are supposed to help us on the path of spirituality. We don't have to get attached to the family members at the bodily level. We have to use and understand that the family members are devotees. I have to serve my family members as devotees. And together with my family members, I have to serve Krishna. I don't have to use my family members as objects of sense gratification.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
All right, so going back to question number 9 about the roles of woman. So I will bring up on screen. So this is Devahuti chapter, Canto 3, chapter 23, and from verse 2 to 5, these verses describe how a wife should deal with her husband. I mean, there are verses for husband also. I mean, right now the question is about the wife, so I have brought up that on screen. So let's read these verses one at a time. These are the day-to-day activities of what a wife should do and should not do are described in these verses. Canto 3, chapter 23, verses 2 to 5. Follow me. Verses 2, translation and purport. Faster pace, please.
Yes, Prabhuji. From here, right?
Translation and purport.
Translation and purport. Thank you. Translation. O Vidura, Devahuti served her husband with intimacy and great respect, with control of senses, with love, and with sweet words. Purport. Here, two words are very significant. Devahuti served her husband in two ways, Vishramvena and Gauravena. These are two important processes in serving the husband or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishramvena means with intimacy, and Gauravena means with great reverence. The husband is a very intimate friend. Therefore, the wife must render service just like an intimate friend. And at the same time, she must understand that the husband is superior in position, and thus she must offer him all respect. A man's psychology and woman's psychology are different. As constituted by bodily frame, a man always wants to be superior to his wife, and a woman, as bodily constituted, is naturally inferior to the husband. Thus, the natural instinct is that the husband wants to post himself as superior to the wife, and this must be observed. Even if there is something wrong on the part of the husband, the wife must tolerate it, and thus there will be no misunderstanding between husband and wife. Vishrambhena means with intimacy, but it must not be familiarity that breeds contempt. According to the Vedic civilization, a wife cannot call a husband by a wife cannot call her husband by name. In the present civilization, the wife calls her husband by name, but in Hindu civilization, she does not. Thus, the inferiority and superiority complexes are recognized. Damenacha, a wife has to learn to control herself even if there is a misunderstanding. Sauhadrena Vacha Madhuraya means always desiring good for the husband and speaking to him with sweet words. A person becomes agitated by so many material contacts in the outside world. Therefore, in his home life, he must be treated by his wife with sweet words. Hare Krishna.
Right. So the bodily build of male and female is obviously different because they have different roles to play. So there's no discrimination between husband and wife, or not husband, male and female. Discrimination. There is no discrimination between male and female. Rather, the scriptures are stating a fact that for a society to function according to bodily concept or bodily frame, husband has a particular role. And according to bodily frame, woman has a particular role of being emotional. So there's no discrimination, it's a fact. And in scriptures, roles are designed accordingly. Now the question number 9 that we are discussing. This modern civilization where a woman is supposed to be independent, that is not correct. Scriptures have clearly said a woman should always be under shelter of a male. First under shelter of father, then when she gets married under shelter of husband. And when the husband leaves, either leaves the body or goes to forest under varnashram and sannyasi life, then the female should be under the protection of son. So what modern civilization, all this so-called modern civilization where they are wanting freedom of woman, that is actually meant for the men's own benefit, that they want females in the open market so that certain males can take advantage of the females. So scriptures have given crystal clear guidance that we have to follow. And our previous discussion with Kunal Prabhu, I had given last class probably, that wife should not take the name of the husband. It's right there. I had pointed out to a verse, so it's right there. And this discussion about what the wife should and should not do, we read some points that even if there is something wrong done by the husband, the wife should learn to tolerate. Then there will be no misunderstanding. Comes right from scriptures. Then you will have a happy married life. And this discussion continues up to verse number 5. Let's read one more verse, a little bit more. We do have a lot of Vaishnavis in the class. I'm pretty sure you may have a sword in front of you reading all of this. So ask questions and I will try to answer as much as is possible. Let's read. Priyanka, verse 3, translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Working sanely and diligently, she pleased her very powerful husband, giving up all lust, pride, envy, greed, sinful activities, and vanity. Purport. Here are some of the qualities of a great husband's great wife. Kardama Muni is great by spiritual qualification. Such a husband is called Teji Yam Sam, most powerful. Although a wife may be equal to her husband in advancement in spiritual consciousness, she should not be vainly proud. Sometimes it happens that the wife comes from a very rich family, as did Devahuti, the daughter of Emperor Swayambhuva Manu. She could have been very proud of her parentage, but that is forbidden. The wife should not be proud of her parental position. She must always be submissive to the husband and must give up all vanity. As soon as a wife becomes proud of her parentage, her pride creates a great misunderstanding between the husband and wife, and their nuptial life is ruined. Devahuti was very careful about that, and therefore it is said here that she gave up pride completely. Devahuti was not unfaithful. The most sinful activity for a wife is to accept another husband or another lover. Chanakya Pandit has described 4 kinds of enemies at home. If the father is in debt, he is considered to be an enemy. If the mother has selected another husband in the presence of her grown up children, she is considered to be an enemy. If a wife does not live well with her husband but deals very roughly, then she is an enemy. And if a son is a fool, he is also an enemy. In family life, father, mother, wife, and children are assets, but if wife or mother accepts another husband in the presence of her husband or son, then, according to Vedic civilization, she is considered an enemy. A chaste and faithful woman must not practice adultery. That is a greatly sinful act. Hare Krishna.
Pretty heavy purport that wife should be a chaste wife, should not have a lover, and you just should not even connect with other human, other male, right? It's all sinful and enemy. You are an enemy. And the same discussion continues in verse 4 and 5. I think we have spent enough time, and I will pause here for questions, comments, realizations, or if somebody wants to bring out a sword. Does that answer this question number 9 at great length? That if I or any woman wants to be separate or independent, that's a problem. That mindset you have to change as a female. The mindset, according to scripture, says the female should always be under the protection of a father, then under protection of a husband, and then under protection of a son if required. Shivanji?
Prabhuji, I'd like to ask a question. So, do we like have the option to work or not work? Because again, like it's mentioned, like we need to serve the husband 100%.
Yeah, so
And
it's not a black and white answer. I mean, ideal is that husband should work and wife should serve the husband. But you have to see according to time, place, and circumstances. It's not a black and white answer. So right now is probably required to work because of a lot many other factors. So you have to judge according to your situation. Shivanji?
so, Prabhuji, should it be the wife's call or should it be the husband's call or should it be like both? Like,
It's a joint discussion, right? It's when you get married, you lose your individuality in terms of that now you are combined. You don't lose your individuality, but now you are combined. You have to go together. Then you will reach Goloka Vrindavan together.
okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Everybody on the same page, Raksha?
Prabhuji, like in the verse, it was said the female should tolerate what, even if the male is wrong. So why can't they tolerate? I mean, why we should have?
So the verse read, we read in the verse that why the female has to tolerate is that male is working in the material world, where material world he already has so many challenges. So wife has to be understanding and comforting to the husband. Yes, I understand you are already going through so many miseries in the material world every day. At least let me be comforting to you. We already read, it was there in the purport. Raksha?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Now, I do understand, and I'm not saying that you have to blindly just take the position that it's always the wife who has to tolerate. No, it still is both ways, but still there has to be a lot of tolerance from the wife under the circumstances that we are discussing. That say husband is working and wife is taking care of rest of the duties and not wife is not working. That's the situation that we are discussing. All right. Question number 10. Please explain merging of living beings into the body of Mahavishnu from what we already heard in the previous class recording from Canto 1, Chapter 10, verse number 21. So I will repeat what you already heard. I mean, if something is not clear, then you can ask, but my answer is not going to change. So what happens is that we know that the living entity does not merge, but when you read 1.10.21, it seems like it's saying that the living entity merges with the Lord. So how do you understand this merging point? And Acharyas have explained, Srila Swami particularly, that the designations, mean the upadhis that the jiva has in the material world are created by Mahatattva, material nature. So jiva does not merge with Mahavishnu when the jiva goes into the womb of Mahavishnu. But why the verse says that the jiva merges is that, say in the material world, if there's a car accident, that person B hits person A from behind, car, right? The car has hit. Person B's car hits person A's car from behind, and the person A will come out of the car and tell to person B, why did you hit me? Arey Baba, nobody hit you. It was person B's car that hit person A's car. But why is person A saying, why did you hit me? Is because we identify ourselves with the body and we identify everything around the body as also mine. So similarly, body has these upadhis. So when partial annihilation happens, it's the upadhi which are created by Mahat Tattva, material nature. That upadhi or material nature merges, but the jiva does not merge. The jiva simply goes into Mahavishnu's womb to sleep, take a deep sleep for 4.3 billion earth years. And you can understand this with another example that you already heard in the lecture, that say when a person loses all his wealth, then he thinks he has lost himself because he is identifying himself with his wealth. Or another example that you already heard is that when a green parrot enters a green tree, the parrot does not merge with the tree. The individuality of the parrot stays. Similarly, the jiva's upadhis get merged because they are part of Mahat Tattva, but the jiva does not merge with Mahavishnu during partial annihilation. Does that answer the inquiry? Yes, no, silence.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. I do still have few more questions in this series of questions. Would you like me to answer or answer at subsequent class? We have spent a lot of time today. I'm okay either way. I think 3 more questions today in this series. So question posted in the chat is explain upadhi. So upadhi means I consider myself as male or female. I consider myself as Indian, American, etc. I consider myself as accountant. All these are upadhi. Upadhi means designations that are associated with the body. Padma Kumar, does that answer? All right, so let's finish discussing these series of questions. Question number 11. Our body is temporary, but our soul is eternal. Our aim is to completely surrender to Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage in devotional service of the Lord for all the time, and with ultimate objective to return to the Lord. As our body is temporary, and so are our memories. How can I realize and feel that my soul will get appropriate treatment after leaving the material world? So with the Ajamil pastime, if you do devotional service throughout your life and aim to remember Krishna at the time of death, then Vishnu Dutas will come to take the soul to spiritual world. So Ajamil, in fear of death, at the time of death, Ajamil called out his son, who is named Narayan. Now, even though Ajamil called out for his son Narayan, but the Lord's name is so powerful that even if someone chants unknowingly, they still get saved by Vishnu Dutas. And those who are consciously and lovingly remembering Krishna at the time of death or throughout your life, well, obviously you are going to be saved by Vishnu Dutas. So this is the learning from the Ajamil pastime, that Ajamil unconsciously called Narayan, even though he's calling his son Narayan, still Vishnu Dutas came and saved Ajamil. And if you all are consciously and lovingly remembering Krishna throughout your life, well, obviously Vishnu Dutas will come and save you and your soul. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Question number 12. When things do not go as planned, we start to question the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Doubts begin to creep in. How do we protect our consciousness and keep ourselves steady in bhakti if such thoughts starts to emerge in the mind? So we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita that desires cause doubts. Therefore, in this situation, immediately increase your sadhana, increase your devotee association always and at least during these such times when doubts arise, and continue your Krishna consciousness even if it feels a drag. My spiritual master, His Grace Vaisheshikadas Adhikari, just in the last couple of days, gave a short lecture on encouragement. That when I realize my anarthas and I feel not wanting to continue Krishna consciousness, therefore in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 20, verses 27 and 28, Krishna encourages that you should continue on the path of Krishna consciousness and not be too disturbed because of the fact that you are not at a stage where you feel masterful, means you are not yet advanced. Now, does not mean you have to always keep saying, oh, I am so fallen. No, rather you recognize your anarthas and continue Krishna consciousness to purify yourself. So if any one of you would like to listen to my spiritual masters this short lecture on encouragement, that Krishna has given from 11.20.27 to 28, then please let me know and I can forward it to you. It's an eye-opener lecture. Both points are important. That don't be so beating yourself. Simultaneously, don't be so complacent that you will say, "Oh, I am so fallen. Nothing can happen." No. Both extremes are not correct. Just have that little encouragement and continue Krishna consciousness. Means increase your sadhana, increase your devotee association, and continuous Krishna consciousness so that doubts can be shattered. Does that answer the inquiry? And if anybody wants my spiritual master lecture, message me and I will forward the lecture to you. Last question in the series of questions. Last question for today. Question number 13. Soldiers who fight at border for the country and his people, which also includes pure devotees, meaning it's an indirect service to pure devotees, still that soldier gets bondage in the material world. So this generates Agyat Sukruti. Agyat Sukruti means unknowingly doing devotional service. And this Agyat Sukruti will mature at some point of time to cause meeting a pure devotee and receiving mercy of a pure devotee. Does that answer the inquiry? All right. So, as I said at the start, that majority of you, almost all of you except one or two devotees, all of you are following the new process properly of listening to recording and completing your spiritual endeavors. It's just the one or two devotees should fine tune, should revisit the process that we discussed and adjust wherever it is required for you to adjust. Otherwise, these recordings will pile up very, very soon. And then you will be a little bit left behind. So I request all of you, or at least the devotees who are not exactly at the process that we discussed, to fine tune that requires. So I will post lecture for the next lecture, which is on chapter 10 and chapter 11. I will post it in the WhatsApp group. I will also post Sumnima's Srimad Bhagavatam app in the WhatsApp group. So everybody take time to spend time on the app that Sumnima has created. Try to engage yourself in Krishna consciousness as much as is possible. Are we okay to stop here? Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.